I've been on the bench for 38 years. I thought I'd seen everything. Then Richard Whitmore walked into my courtroom. He was 67 years old, wealthy, connected, and he refused to stand when I entered. What happened next became the most talked about moment in Providence courtroom history, because when a millionaire thinks money makes them above basic respect, someone needs to show them it doesn't. And that someone was me. Before we dive in, I need you to ask this question. Where are you watching this from? Comment your city below, like this video, and subscribe to this channel. And let me ask you something. Do you think wealth should exempt anyone from showing basic respect? Yes or no, tell me in the comments. Let me tell you exactly what happened that Tuesday morning. It was 9:30 a.m. My bailiff, Tony, came to me before we started. He said, "Judge, we've got a problem. The defendant in the traffic case has been difficult with staff." I nodded. In nearly 4 decades, I've handled difficult people before, but this was different. Tony told me. He said he doesn't have time for this. He told the clerk his lawyer should handle it. He's been on his phone the entire time. The case was simple. Richard Whitmore, age 67, cited for running a red light on Benefit Street. The officer's notes mentioned something else, though. It said defendant refused to provide license and stated court appearance was beneath his status. I took my seat. Tony announced, "All rise for the Honorable Judge Frank Caprio." Everyone stood, except one person. Richard Whitmore sat in the front row. His designer suit probably cost more than most people earn in a month. He didn't even look up from his phone. The courtroom went silent. People glanced at each other. Tony said to him firmly, "Sir, you need to stand for the judge." Whitmore looked up slowly. His expression made it clear he was annoyed. He told Tony, "I have a back condition. I'm not standing." Now, I've accommodated many people with legitimate health issues over the years. I always do. But something about his tone told me this wasn't about his back. I said to him calmly, "Mr. Whitmore, if you have a medical condition, I'm happy to accommodate you. Do you have documentation?" He waved his hand dismissively. He said to me, "I don't need documentation. My doctor knows. That should be enough." The disrespect was palpable, but I decided to move forward. I told him, "Please approach the bench." He stood then, slowly, as if doing me a favor. He walked forward. His phone was still in his hand. I asked him, "Mr. Whitmore, you're here regarding a traffic citation, running a red light. How do you plead?" He said to me, "Can we make this quick? I have a lunch appointment at noon." I asked again, "Sir, how do you plead?" He said, "Not guilty, obviously. This whole thing is ridiculous. I've been driving for 50 years. One red light, and I'm dragged into court like a criminal." I looked at the file. I told him, "Mr. Whitmore, according to the officer's report, you ran a red light in a school zone. During dismissal time, a crossing guard had to pull 2 children back." He shrugged. He said to me, "I didn't see them. The sun was in my eyes." The crossing guard, Rebecca Martinez, was sitting in the gallery. I saw her face change. She'd been doing that job for 12 years. She knew what happened. I asked him, "Mr. Whitmore, are you telling me you ran a red light because of sun glare and you don't think that's serious?" He said, "I'm saying accidents happen. I'll pay the fine. Can we move on?" That's when I knew. This wasn't about a traffic ticket. This was about someone who believed money made them special. I noticed he was still holding his phone. I said to him, "Mr. Whitmore, please put that phone away." He looked at his phone, then at me. He told me, "It's my business. I need to monitor things." I said firmly, "Sir, you're in my courtroom. Put the phone away. Now." He did, resentfully. What happened next proved that in my courtroom, money means nothing. I picked up the case file and started reading the details out loud. The officer who wrote the citation was Michael Rodriguez. I said to Whitmore, "Officer Rodriguez's report states that you were traveling at 47 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour school zone. Is that correct?" Whitmore said to me, "I may have been going a bit fast. Traffic was light. I had somewhere to be." I looked at him carefully. I told him, "Mr. Whitmore, school zones exist for one reason, to protect children. You were going almost twice the speed limit." He said, "Your Honor, I've never hit anyone. I'm an excellent driver. These speed limits are outdated. Modern cars can handle much higher speeds safely." He was actually arguing that his expensive car made speeding acceptable. I said to him, "Mr. Whitmore, the law doesn't care what kind of car you drive. Speed limits protect everyone. He actually smirked at me. He said, "Judge, I understand you're doing your job, but let's be realistic. I run a company worth $50 million. I employ over 200 people. My time is valuable. Can't we just settle this with a fine and move on?" That's when the prosecutor stood up. Her name was Jennifer. She said to me, "Your Honor, may I approach?" I nodded. She walked forward with additional documents. She told me, "Judge, Mr. Whitmore's driving record shows a pattern. 4 speeding tickets in the past 2 years, 2 red light violations. All paid immediately, but he's never appeared in court before today." I looked at Whitmore. I asked him, "Is this accurate?" He shrugged again. That dismissive gesture was becoming his signature move. He said, "I pay my tickets promptly. That's what the system is for, isn't it? I break a minor law, I pay the fine, everyone's happy." I set the papers down slowly. I said to him, "Mr. Whitmore, that is not what the system is for. Traffic laws aren't suggestions you can pay to ignore. They exist to keep people safe." He looked at his watch. He said to me, "Your Honor, I appreciate the lecture, but I really do need to leave soon. What's the fine?" "I'll write a check right now." The courtroom was completely silent. Everyone was watching to see what I would do. I told him, "Mr. Whitmore, I'm not finished reviewing your case. You'll leave when I say you can leave." His face changed then. The polite mask slipped. He said to me, his voice harder now, "Judge, I'm trying to be cooperative here, but I have rights. You can't keep me here indefinitely." I said calmly, "You're absolutely right. You have rights, and I have responsibilities. One of them is making sure justice is served fairly." Jennifer, the prosecutor, spoke again. She said, "Your Honor, there's something else. The crossing guard who witnessed this incident is here today, Mrs. Rebecca Martinez." She asked if she could testify. She'd been a crossing guard for 12 years. I knew her. I said, "Mrs. Martinez, please approach the witness stand." She stood slowly. She had arthritis in her knees. I could see her wince as she walked forward. Whitmore didn't even glance at her. Rebecca was sworn in and sat down. I asked her gently, "Mrs. Martinez, can you tell us what you saw that day?" She said to me, "Judge, I've been doing this job a long time. I know that intersection. That day was dismissal time. I had my stop sign up. Children were crossing." Her voice was steady, but I could hear the emotion underneath. She continued, "I saw his car coming fast, too fast. I could tell he wasn't going to stop. The light was red, clearly red, but he didn't even slow down." Whitmore shifted in his chair. He muttered something under his breath. Rebecca heard him. She looked directly at him for the first time. She said, "2 children had just stepped into the crosswalk, 7 and 8 years old. I had to grab them and pull them back." What Rebecca said next made everything clear. And what I had to do next would shock everyone in that courtroom. Stay with me, because the moment that defines this entire case is coming. Rebecca Martinez was trying to stay composed, but I could see the weight of what she'd witnessed still affected her. I said to her gently, "Mrs. Martinez, please continue. What happened after you pulled the children back?" She took another breath. She said to me, "Judge, after I pulled them back, the car went through the intersection. It missed us by maybe 3 feet. The children were crying. One of them, little Emma, she was shaking. Her mother had to come get her from school. She had nightmares for a week." I looked at Whitmore. His face showed no emotion, no remorse, nothing. Rebecca continued, "I wrote down the license plate number right away. Then I called the police. Officer Rodriguez came within 10 minutes. I asked her, 'Mrs. Martinez, in your 12 years as a crossing guard, have you ever had an incident like this before?' She shook her head. She said, 'No, Your Honor. I've had close calls, but never like this. Most drivers, when they make a mistake, they stop. They apologize. They look scared because they realize what could have happened. But this driver, he just kept going like nothing happened.'" Whitmore finally spoke. He said dismissively, "Your Honor, this woman is being dramatic. I went through a yellow light that turned red. That's all. No one was hit. No harm done." Rebecca turned to look at him. She said firmly, "The light was red, completely red. I'd been standing there for 8 seconds already." I said to Whitmore, "Mr. Whitmore, Mrs. Martinez has no reason to lie. She's a public servant who's dedicated 12 years to keeping children safe." He said to me, "She's a crossing guard, Your Honor. With all due respect to her service, she's not a traffic expert. Maybe she misjudged the timing. The disrespect in his tone was unmistakable. He just dismissed a woman's testimony because of her job. I felt my patience wearing thin. I said to Rebecca, "Thank you, Mrs. Martinez. You may step down." She stood slowly, her arthritis making it difficult. Whitmore still didn't look at her. I turned my attention back to Whitmore. I said to him, "Mr. Whitmore, I want to understand something. Do you feel any remorse for what happened?" He said, "Remorse for what? Nothing happened." "This is all hypothetical. You're asking me to feel bad about something that didn't occur." I leaned forward. I said, "Sir, you nearly killed 2 children. Mrs. Martinez had to physically pull them back. That's not hypothetical, that's real." He said to me, "But I didn't hit them. That's the point. I had complete control of my vehicle. This is being blown completely out of proportion." That's when I knew. This man didn't just disrespect the law, he disrespected the people the law was meant to protect. Jennifer, the prosecutor, stood again. She said, "Your Honor, there's one more thing. We pulled the traffic camera footage. With your permission, I'd like to show it." I nodded. I said, "Please do." The bailiff set up the monitor. Everyone in the courtroom could see it clearly. The footage started playing. Rebecca Martinez appeared on screen, walking into the crosswalk with her stop sign raised. The light was red. 2 children stepped off the curb behind her. Then Whitmore's black Mercedes appeared. It was moving fast. The speed was visible even on the camera. Rebecca saw the car. Her body language changed immediately. She spun around, grabbed both children by their arms, and yanked them backward. The Mercedes blew through the red light, passing exactly where those children had been standing 1 second earlier. I turned off the monitor. I looked at Whitmore. I said to him, "Mr. Whitmore, you just watched the same footage we all did. Do you still maintain you did nothing wrong?" He sat there for a moment. Then he said to me, "Your Honor, I understand how it looks, but in the moment I believed I could make it through safely. I'm an experienced driver. I made a judgment call." A judgment call. He'd just called, nearly killing 2 children, a judgment call. I said to him, "Mr. Whitmore, your judgment was wrong, dangerously wrong." He replied, "Perhaps, but that's why we have insurance and legal systems, to handle these situations when mistakes happen." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He was treating this like a business transaction. I said, "This isn't about insurance, sir. This is about the choices you made, the recklessness you showed, and the complete lack of remorse you're demonstrating right now." He said to me, and his tone shifted to something colder, "Your Honor, I've been patient. I've sat here and listened to this crossing guard's emotional testimony. I've watched footage that, yes, shows I made an error in judgment, but I'm a 67-year-old man. I've built a successful company. I've contributed millions in taxes to this city. I've created jobs. I've donated to charities. One traffic violation doesn't define who I am." I said quietly, "No, Mr. Whitmore, how you respond to that violation does. And right now you're showing us exactly who you are." He said, "What does that mean?" I told him, "It means you believe your success makes you special, that your contributions to society somehow balance out endangering children, that money and status should shield you from consequences." He stood up abruptly. He said to me, his voice rising, "I don't have to listen to this. I came here as a courtesy. I could have sent my lawyer. You're turning a simple traffic ticket into some kind of moral judgment on my character." I said firmly, "Sit down, Mr. Whitmore." He didn't move. He said, "I've had enough of this. What's the fine? I'll pay it right now and leave." I said again, louder this time, "Sit down." The bailiff took a step toward him. Whitmore looked around the courtroom. Everyone was staring at him. He slowly sat back down. I looked at him directly. I said, "You refused to stand when I entered this courtroom. You've been dismissive and disrespectful throughout these proceedings. You've shown no remorse for endangering children. You've insulted a dedicated public servant, and now you're refusing to follow my direct orders. That, Mr. Whitmore, is contempt of court." His face went pale. He said, "You can't be serious." I was very serious. I said, "Mr. Whitmore, I'm finding you in contempt of court. In addition to the traffic violations, you will face additional penalties." He stood up again. This time he was angry. He said loudly, "This is outrageous. I demand to speak to your supervisor. Do you know who I am?" I said calmly, "I know exactly who you are. You're someone who thinks rules don't apply to them." He pointed at me. He said, "You're on a power trip. This is abuse of authority. I'll have your job for this." The bailiff moved closer. I said to Whitmore, "Sir, you need to calm down and sit down. Now." He said, "I'm not sitting down. I'm leaving. You can mail me whatever fine you want." He turned toward the door. I said, "Bailiff, detain Mr. Whitmore." Tony moved quickly. He stepped in front of Whitmore, blocking his path. He said to him, "Sir, you need to return to your seat." Whitmore tried to push past him. He said, "Get out of my way." Tony held his ground. Another court officer came from the side of the room. I said, "Mr. Whitmore, if you do not return to your seat immediately, you will be physically removed from this courtroom and placed in custody." Whitmore looked at me with pure rage. He said, "You wouldn't dare." I looked at Tony. I nodded. Tony and the other officer each took one of Whitmore's arms. He tried to pull away. He said loudly, "Don't touch me. I'll sue you. I'll sue all of you." They began walking him toward the side door, the one that led to the holding cells. Whitmore was shouting now. He said, "This is illegal. You can't do this. I know the mayor. I know the police chief. You're finished." The courtroom watched in complete silence as they took him through the door. His voice echoed down the hallway until the door closed behind him. An elderly woman in the front row started clapping. Then another person joined her, then another. I waited for the applause to die down. Then I spoke. I said, "Mr. Whitmore believes his wealth and success make him special. He's wrong. In this courtroom, we're all equal. A millionaire gets the same treatment as someone with nothing. Because justice isn't about money, it's about right and wrong." I picked up my gavel. I said, "Here is my ruling. Richard Whitmore is found guilty of running a red light in a school zone, excessive speeding, and reckless endangerment. His fine is $2,500. His license is suspended for 6 months. He will complete 100 hours of community service at an elementary school, where he will see firsthand the children he endangered." I paused. "Additionally, for contempt of court, he will spend 48 hours in custody. He will pay an additional fine of $1,000. And when he completes his sentence, he will return to this courtroom and apologize personally to Mrs. Rebecca Martinez." I brought the gavel down. The sound echoed through the room. And finally I said, "This court is adjourned. See you next case."